You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
Pacific Northwest governors hold fast on the vax deadlines as more local officials warn of worker exodus. Bunch of people are they going to get fired? Are they going to experience separation from their employers because they haven't got the jab? A lot of people seem to think so. To the point where we've got one politician, county council member, saying, hey, on the federal level, you can test out instead of not getting the jab. How about we do that? I mean, give people a little bit of room here. That's a thing. No, we got these governors that are just like, all right, we've got a deadline. If you're not vaccinated by then, we expect you to do the right thing. You need to get the jab. It's what we're doing here in the Pacific Northwest. It's kind of crazy. In other parts of the country, and that might be part of the reason you're watching this show, is that you're like, hey, let's go see what's going on in Seattle. A train wreck of a city. Let's go see what's happening in Washington. Train wreck of a state. California. What's going on there? What's going on in Oregon? Well, we've got these deadlines coming up, right? I mean, they are rapidly approaching. And basically, if you haven't had the jab, and if you're a county or a state worker or city mandated worker and you haven't had your jab by now, all of these October deadlines, you're going to have some issues. You're going to need a big box of tissues for all of your issues because it's a nightmare. And there's a lot of people, not probably as many people as the media makes it out to be. I believe that is just my kind of sorting through all of the chaos in this scenario. I think there's far fewer people who are actually going to lose their jobs than the media wants you to believe. But then again, that's the, if it bleeds, it leads thing. Right now, we've got 292 police officers in the city of Seattle who haven't turned in their paperwork, another 111 that are waiting to hear back on their exemptions, whether it's for religious or medical reasons, all this stuff going on. I think I predicted yesterday that I thought we'd maybe lose 50, however that looks, 50. How about that? 50, we might lose 50 police officers. And even still, that's an enormous number given how many we've been down. But you keep seeing these storylines. So let's jump on into it. Let's see what's going on with our governors, and let's see what an option might be. Because one of the interesting things about all this is that on the federal level, like the employers, 100 workers or more, that's not a law. That's not even a thing. That's a press conference that President Biden had, and he said, yeah, we're going to do this. OSHA, get working on it. Do your emergency thing. Get going, and I'll get back to you. And yet everybody's like, oh, we've got to have all of our employees vaccinated. That's what we're doing. Got to get ahead of the curve here. Not even a thing yet. All right, before I jump on in, my name's Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies, and I read the news from that perspective. Let's do this. And other perspectives, my life experience, whatever that might be. The days are quickly ticking down to next Monday's deadline when most Oregon and Washington teachers, healthcare workers, and public employees need to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Especially in more conservative swaths of the Pacific Northwest, elected officials remain fearful of a mass exodus of firefighters and healthcare professionals. I talked about this yesterday on the issue of the police. I don't want to see public safety get impacted because of the vaccine mandates. But then I'm also kind of wanting to kick back and go, let's just see if, say, 250 police officers choose not to get the vaccine. What happens then? What does that look like? I just kind of want to see that game of chicken played out. Just from a human standpoint. All right. So what are our fearless leaders going to do now? I mean, in city of Seattle, we know you can't lose 250 police officers. That's a hard no-go. Even 100, even 50 at this point would rock the boat. It would rock the boat. Now, I know a lot of people are like, right-wing guys, you've been complaining about the number of police officers forever. Yeah. And with the increasing crime, how is that working out? How's that working out for you? If you're in Seattle and you got to call 911 on something other than some kind of traumatic call where you're physically being impacted, how's that working out? How quickly are they getting to you, if at all? So we've got the mass exodus of firefighters and healthcare professionals and police officers. All right. Is that going to happen? A lot of people seem to think it is. I think it's a scaled back variant. I just honestly think that people need to make a living. And from that standpoint, I see them going down in flames, meaning they will turn in their vaccine paperwork at the very last minute in an ultimate FU to the system that's mandating them something that they believe should be their choice. That's the way I see it going down. So they are trying different avenues to get Governors Brown and Inslee to back off the vaccination deadline, but there are no signs the governors are open to delays. I think they're playing chicken as well. Push comes to shove. At the end of the day, the numbers are bad enough, but I don't think they will be. They'll make some change ups. I think they really will, but I don't think they're going to have to. Because I think, like most all of these vaccine deadlines, they just pressure people to do stuff. And at the end of the day, people cave to pressure because guess what? They need their employment. If they don't, all right, let her rip. Let's see how this goes. Spokane County Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich took to the department's YouTube channel the other day. Good for you, Ozzie, to deliver a 13-minute monologue directed at Washington Governor Jay Inslee. Political stuff, right? At the height of the pandemic, does it really make sense to terminate our healthcare workers, our firefighters, our EMS personnel? Knezovich said. Does it? No, it doesn't. So why do we have this massive, massive push to get everybody vaccinated, with public safety being one of the factors that could be impacted? How did we get here? How did we get here? It's like, what happened here? What is behind this enormous push to get everybody vaccinated? I was going to do a story on the Victoria Clipper. The Victoria Clipper is a high-speed boat that goes from, I think it's a hydroplane. Is it still a hydroplane? Can't remember. Goes from downtown Seattle up to Victoria in Canada, which is not that far. I took that ride with my, I think it was fiance back in the day. I don't remember. It was before kids. So 1990, 1991, 92. We took the Victoria Clipper from downtown Seattle, which is cool, all the way up to Canada. That's pretty cool. Hung out there for the weekend, took the thing back. Really cool. But that's being shut down because they're saying there's not enough people taking it to have it warrant making sense. It holds like 500 people, but they're doing trips with like 40 to 50 people. And the number two reason they said that they're not running that ship anymore right now, and they won't for the rest of this season, is because they've mandated, going back between Canada and in Washington, they've mandated you have to have the vaccine, and people just aren't willing to get on a boat and show their vaccination. And that, to me, it was like, okay, but I thought everybody was damn near vaccinated. Am I wrong here? Here in King County, where I'm recording this from, all the numbers are like, well, 97% of the Washington State Patrol, or 93% of the State Patrol is. Of the healthcare workers, 98% are vaccinated. The general population is like 80-something percentage vaccinated. Every time you turn around, you're like, well, there's herd immunity there. Oh, there's herd immunity numbers. Oh, there's seems like everybody's vaccinated. This shouldn't be a thing. But tourists, maybe not from here, from elsewhere, are saying, got to be vaccinated to take the Clipper? No, I don't think so. No, we're not going to go down that road. Or maybe they just don't want to go into Canada. People love taking that trip. It's weird, right? All right. So at the height of the pandemic, does it really make sense to terminate our healthcare workers? That's a big thing. And what's interesting is the healthcare workers, how many of them are saying, yeah, I don't really want to get the jab. That to me is in firefighters. All right. Police, I understand. They just don't want to. It's authority thing, right? I mean, and for the rest of us, a lot of us, it's like, yeah, don't really want to have this mandated. And I think police are in the same thing. They're like looking at going, whew, yeah, this needs to be a personal choice thing. This is something I'm putting on my body. This needs to be a personal choice thing, not lose my damn job over it. So the Seattle Police Department, that's going to be an interesting one because those numbers are still running pretty high. I think those numbers will drop down as far as the people that have not proven their vaccination. Or it's one of those industries where this is like that last straw and they're like, yeah. And I know there's conversations going on out there. What is that narrative right now? I'd love to know what that narrative is. I think it's like a lot of other industries where they're like, yeah, I need this job. I hate to say it, but I need this job. So until I figure something else out, this is what we're doing. So the Spokane County Sheriff said he is vaccinated against COVID-19 and encourages others to get the shot. But the sheriff said he can't stomach dismissals of hard-to-replace emergency responders who refuse to get the vaccine. Yeah, difficult to argue that one. Other than, well, if you're working as a first responder, you should be vaccinated to keep everybody else safe. But they've already got the vaccination. So who's keeping who safe here-ish? Confusing, isn't it? So if you know what the potential outcome is, do we really play this game of chicken? The sheriff said. I don't think so. So once again, I'm asking Governor Inslee to please back away from these mandates. County commissions in a bunch of mostly rural counties across Oregon have the same burr in their saddles, but are taking a slightly different approach to get the attention of their governor. At least 8 counties have preemptively declared a local state of emergency. I want to declare a state of emergency here in my office. This is a state of emergency. I need federal funds. I need FEMA. I need whatever help I can get. Just because, I mean, doesn't it feel like the state of emergency, one small thing, declaring a state of emergency right now. It's like, really? Okay. So we've got 8 counties preemptively declaring a local state of emergency. Southeastern Oregon's Harney's County is the latest. As elsewhere, the county commission said it anticipates the COVID vaccination requirement will cause a staff exodus at the county's only hospital, at schools, and emergency services. A resolution approved last Wednesday said that the prospect creates a foreseeable lack of adequate resources to respond to basic needs, hence the state of emergency. Does this police department, can they do that? Or does this county have to? I don't know. We're now going on record with the state as saying we and a lot of other counties as well, we need help. And you know it. You officially know it, said Commissioner Patty Dora. Harney County joins Jackson, Jefferson, Crook, Union, Baker, Malheur, and Yamhill counties in preemptively declaring local states of emergency. So these are counties that are far out. They're more rural. And they're basically saying, hey, we already know what our numbers are going to be. It's not going to be pretty. So when these deadlines come and go and we have to let these employees go based on these mandates, we are in a state of emergency. So most county commission votes on the similarly worded resolutions were unanimous, but there were dissenting comments in a few instances. It's going to accomplish nothing, so I don't see a reason to do it, said Jackson County Commissioner Dave Dotterer, said during a work session on September 28th. Neither Oregon's nor Washington's governor appears swayed to back down on the vaccine requirement or to delay it. Democratic Governor Inslee said he disagrees with public workers who argue the COVID vaccine should be a matter of personal choice. When people smoke, I shouldn't have to breathe your smoke, and I shouldn't have to breathe your virus either. All right. One of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast is because, well, it's legal to buy cigarettes. You can get them at 7-Eleven, believe it or not. We know that they kill people. But there's that whole free choice thing. All right. We know that you don't like to inhale people's secondhand smoke. I get that. But people shouldn't lose their job because they choose to smoke. You know what I mean? They don't. It's not a mandate. It's not a mandate. And smoking, arguably, I mean, it causes way more damage, right? On a long-term basis, smoking does. Alcoholism, overeating, being obese, all of those things on an ongoing basis, they create a lot of health issues. I don't think anybody's going to say that. So shouldn't have to breathe your smoke, and I shouldn't have to breathe your virus either. So then isn't that why, Governor Inslee, you would wear a mask? I think so. So we're saying masks are effective, right? So you put a mask on, you don't have to breathe somebody else's virus. Problem solved. I don't know. You heard it right here in the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. Okay. So, and Inslee said this during an interview on the cable channel TVW. We need the public to recognize that the failure to get a vaccine exposes everyone that you come in contact with to this disease. That's not acceptable. But you can still transmit the virus if you've been vaccinated. That's a fact. You can still get coronavirus if you've been vaccinated. That's a fact. I mean, these are things that we know. And so by saying you can come in contact with this disease, you can come in contact with it whether or not you have the vaccine. That's just a fact. We know that. It's just that if you get sick with coronavirus, you're probably not going to die. That's kind of what we're saying. You're not going to get really sick. You're not going to die. All right. I mean, that's the general consensus, right? So that's not acceptable. Come in contact with this disease. So we're saying everybody needs to get the vaccine. Inslee said the combination of sky-high vaccination rates among state employees and contingency plans prepared by state agencies gave him confidence the government will be able to maintain important services. All right. But people are going to lose their jobs. That to me is not right. There will not be massive disruptions in state services, Inslee asserted in a statement on Monday. I hope not, because we're already there. Look at the ferry workers here in Washington State. I mean, we're having, if you've got a day where just a handful of workers are out, you're shutting the ferry runs down, limited schedule. And that creates a massive bottleneck for commuting here in Washington because so many people commute via the ferries. Several larger states and an assortment of companies imposed COVID-19 vaccination requirements with deadlines that have already come and gone. Tayeb Riley, Executive Vice President of the Washington State Hospital Association, said those examples indicate vaccine mandates work. Yeah, you want to keep working, you're going to have to get the vaccination. I mean, that for a lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to go get it because I need to feed my family. That's the part right there where I think this should be a choice. I just do. The experience of New York and California suggests that as we get closer to the implementation date, the vaccination rates for hospital staff do go up. Yeah, you put the fear of God in people. You're going to be fired and not have the ability to feed your family. You're going to see some people run out and get the vax. And we are seeing similar trends here in Washington, Briley said during a media briefing. However, we are concerned about potential impacts on services related to staff shortages. This is a time period in history where you've got record low levels of people willing to do jobs that they would have been willing to do before. You got staff shortages out the behind, right? So Dr. Michael Mint of Tacoma-based Multi-Care Health System added that even a small number of staff resignations or dismissals can hurt depending where they are. Same thing with police officers, same thing with fire department, same thing with anybody on the front line here, right? If they're in the post-acute care space or if they're in intensive care or other units where we've had a lot of demand, those would have obviously a disproportionate effect on our ability to continue to care for patients, Mint said. Staffing problems. Yeah. I mean, we hear about it in the hospitals all the time, right? On Monday, the Washington State Hospital Association estimated between 2 to 5% of hospital workers statewide will be placed on leave next week because they refused the shot. 2 to 5%. 5%? All right. What numbers are we talking about here? But I got to say, if it's 5%, that can't be good. We'll just have to see. I bet you it's closer to that too. I bet you, if you haven't got it by now and if you haven't quit or whatever, I know a lot of folks already have made decisions. They're just kind of waiting to the last minute. It'll be super interesting just to kind of see what the real numbers are. All right. So here we're going on to, all right, here's a politician trying to come up with a solution that kind of handles both sides of things. With vaccine mandate deadline approaching, one official suggests testing as an alternative. We have that on the federal level, don't we? The whole, if you got 100 employees or more, all right, you're either going to have to get vaccinated or you're going to have to do testing. So if that's an idea thrown out by the president, why aren't we able to do that here in the state of Washington or in the county or the city? And the number one argument that I've heard against allowing testing is it's not as effective as getting the vaccination. All right. Okay, that's the argument. It's not as effective. With 1 week remaining for employees of the state, King County and City of Seattle to submit proof that they have received a COVID-19 vax shot, a council member is behind an effort to allow testing to be an alternative option to getting a vaccine shot. Something has to give here, said King County Councilman Reagan Dunn. Are we really going to fire these people, end their retirement, and seize their income? The answer to that apparently is yes. It looks that way. Or is this that inevitable game of chicken where it comes right down to the wire and people send in their paperwork and at the same time, governmental entities are like, all right, last minute, Larry, here, we're going to allow you to test. We understand you've got some concerns and we want to be reasonable as well. Do you think that's going to happen? I mean, the first article I read today doesn't sound that way, does it? Officials said last month that public employees had to show by October 18th, that is 6 days from now, that they had been vaccinated or risk losing their jobs. The mandate cuts a wide swath and could apply to thousands of employees. In King County and Seattle, however, one elected official is asking for testing to be on the table, describing the vaccine mandate as too hard line of a policy. In a letter sent Monday to Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkin and King County Executive Dow Constantine, Reagan Dunn proposed weekly testing in lieu of getting vaccinated. Again, huge pain in the ass, but I think that would work for a lot of people. They'd be like, all right, you're going to have testing at work? No, you're going to have to pay for it yourself. That sucks. We still got the free testing here, right? Seems like it's getting harder to find, though. Seems like the testing has gone away and we've just got vaccinations everywhere. So I'm growing increasingly concerned that these mandates will force hundreds, if not thousands, of dedicated public servants out of their jobs, Dunn wrote. Mass termination of our government employees would result in staffing shortages and cripple our ability to serve the public in the way in which we are obligated. I am particularly concerned what this means for our ability to retain law enforcement officers. Interesting. Critical public health staff and other civil servants who we desperately need during these unprecedented times. This is probably the worst time to be implementing this kind of mandate where people are going to lose their jobs. Have we ever had this before? No, I don't think so. We've got it now, and we're on the tail end of we're in that economic recovery part, and this isn't going to end up well. But I also kind of figure, if the numbers, they are what they are right now, that could be entertaining to see play out. It's that game of chicken, right? You going to get the jab? You going to make me? You going to get the jab? You going to make me? I'm worried that the potential loss of hundreds of law enforcement officers amid the officer shortage that we are currently experiencing will further hurt our ability to provide for the safety of our communities as violent crime surges to record levels. Well, there's that. We've talked about that a lot here in the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. So you got that's out there. Governor, what do you think about that? Well, I think everybody will do the right thing and they'll get the jab when they need to. That's literally the response, right? According to county data, 873 employees at the King County Sheriff's Office have submitted their proof of vaccination, but 223 workers had not. That's further down now. It was not immediately clear how many of those workers who had not shown proof were sworn deputies or uniformed members, meaning, they might be employed, but they're not out there with a badge and a gun doing real justice stuff, right? They're not bringing the perpetrators to justice. Okay, so while mandatory vaccinations may make sense in terms of spread of the disease, I'm trying to operate as an elected official on keeping a government and society running, Dunn said, and it's bigger than just COVID-19. What? Whew. Bigger than just COVID-19. Running life is bigger than COVID-19. That's one of the reasons I want to read this article. It's bigger than just COVID-19. You got to have a bigger picture of what's going on here. Public safety, that's important too. Not enough cops, that gets compromised. Not enough firefighters, that gets tricky. Not enough workers in hospitals, that gets tricky. That's where we're at. It's bigger than just COVID-19. Durkin told Como News that she would remain firm in her support for the vaccine mandate. It's the mayor of Seattle, citing COVID-19 as the leading cause of death of first responders across the country this year. We've seen now that testing is something that tells you you've got it, but by then it's too late. This is something that the recovery rate is what? If you're a police officer or a firefighter, you've already exposed others to it. Yeah, but you could be vaccinated and get it and expose others to it as well. That's true, isn't it? It's bigger than just COVID-19. Running society and running these departments, right? I have a lot more faith in our firefighters and police than Council Member Dunn, she said. It's from Mayor Durkin. I think they'll stand up and do the right thing. So that's what these leaders are saying. They're saying, we think that these positions, firefighters, police officers, healthcare workers, we believe they'll do the right thing. That's that coercion to get them to take the jab. And then we're just going to have to see when push comes to shove in about a week from now, we're just going to have to see what exactly goes down. It's like, are you really going to fire all these workers? I don't think they are. Something will come up. I just don't see that being a reality. But I also didn't think that we'd have a shutdown for the coronavirus. I didn't think we'd have that. I didn't think that we would have eviction moratoriums. It's like, what? You're doing what? Why? Well, because of this, and this. Okay. 2021. It's a weird year, right? I'll be glad to get this one done with. Although, what are we looking at in 2022? What's the Delta variant going to be replaced with? Something else, right? Crazy. All right. To sum up, a bunch of people might lose their jobs, governmental workers, if they don't get the jab. Some politicians are throwing out other ideas that seem reasonable, but those are kind of getting shot down, mainly being, hey, allow testing instead of having to get the jab. What is it? Which one is it? Not sure. We're playing chicken. Got the game of chicken going. Governor and all the leaders are saying, you need to get the job. We're not saying we're not going to fire you, but we're saying we believe that you're going to do the right thing. And then we've got a bunch of the employees saying, I haven't turned in my paperwork yet. Does that mean they haven't had the jab? No, just means they haven't turned in their paperwork yet. They're working on it. Maybe a little slow, a little bit of last minute Larry. Don't know. I think they're doing it under protest, and I think they have that right to do that. So we're just going to have to see. Got a week left. See where this goes. Crazy, right? Okay. any which way, I will report back, because this is something that a lot of you asked. Hey, what's the deal with the police, the numbers of the police? Keep me posted on that one. I'm like, yep, will do. So will do. So that's it for me on this one. I will catch up with you soon. Till then, stay safe. Make good choices. We'll meet again. All right. Talk then. Bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you'll know when our next video is out.